Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Walks. Norwich City have continued their unbeaten start to pre-season with a 2-0 victory here today over National League North team Kings Lynn. Town goals from Team Pukki and Christos Solis helped them on their way after, of course, they ended a week-long trip in Germany with a 2-2 draw against Jan Regensburg, who start their season this weekend, I think. So this was a slight change of pace, a little bit different for Norwich City, a different challenge, a different encounter. Dean Smith said after the game he wanted to see his players in a stressed environment. He was actually stood in the Kings Lynn director's box. So he was sat along probably about 4, 5, 6, 7 seats away from where I'm stood right now, observing this game rather than on his typical position on the touchline. That was left up to Craig Shakespeare and Liam Bramley. And again, touching on that post-match, Dean Smith said that he didn't want to do too much coaching in these games. That is solely for the training pitch. This was about observing and trying to see some of those patterns of play and implementing that style of play that they've been trying to work on into a live game environment, and that was the case this afternoon. They've won 2-0, as I said. Pre-season friendlies are always quite interesting to come on and speak about, as I said, against Durham, because ultimately you have to caveat everything with the fact that it's pre-season, and there are loads of mitigation as to why something might be like it is or why something perhaps wasn't like it was. And actually, for probably the opening 20 minutes of this game, Norwich City were not the better side. Kings Lynn were in the ascendancy. They had a lot of territory. They were unpicking Norwich's press pretty well. They had some good moments. I think Crowther had a header save. Omatoyo was proving to be a little bit of a handful up front. Clunan was whipping in some good crosses from the right-hand side, and they were causing a little bit of a problem and knocking the ball around nicely. And it was a real test for Norwich City, who I'm sure have trained today and will train tomorrow. And at this stage of pre-season is all about fitness. So you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, and it's hard to come to sort of hard and fast conclusions about the way something looks or why something is what it looks like, and also the setup of the team. So far, the only thing that's been consistent with Norwich City is that 4-3-3 shape that we know Dean Smith likes. He played at Aston Villa, he played it at Brentford, and that is, again, was favoured tonight here at Kings Lynn, which to me suggests, if we're looking for themes, as we try and do in these videos, that is a clear and concurrent theme now within Norwich City's pre-season. They play a 4-3-3. They play and try and play with two dynamic eights who spring and try and join in with both phases. They have to be quite energetic, quite dynamic. And then they have kind of a 6 who sits and plugs the gap and is maybe looking to just keep things ticking over in terms of momentum. And that's what they did again today. But actually, for a large part of this game, I was really struggling with kind of what I was watching, really. It was quite a hard watch from a Norwich City perspective, because there was a lot of aimless direct passes. There was a lot of pressing that wasn't collective, wasn't intelligent in the same way that maybe we saw in flashes against Durham. Again, with the caveat of who the opposition was and is today. And it just felt very, to me, pre-season-y, which it is, so that's fine. But it felt to me very much like Norwich City is still a work in progress. There are still areas of the game that they need to address and work on. I'm still looking for that flip of the switch, or that moment, or that player, or that piece of quality that really unlocks doors on a consistent basis. I didn't feel that tonight, and I didn't really feel like it was ever going to come. Norwich City did lack creativity, I felt, to their play at times again tonight, and that is kind of the role of the eights to try and step in and do, combined with the wingers who, unlike Daniel Farker, who had them almost as two number 10s, with Dean Smith, we're actually seeing that they're more conventional. They're more sort of chalk on the boots. I want to hit the byline and cut the ball back wingers, and that's fine. It's just quite a drastic stylistic change. I'm yet to really see maybe the work in possession that I'd want to see at this stage. And again, it's difficult because ultimately Norwich still have 4 pre-season games to play. This stage of pre-season is all about fitness and building up building up a guard, I suppose, to what's to come, and to ensure that there is players are getting minutes evenly, and that's difficult with what is a very large Norwich City squad. So players are kind of getting chopped and changed a lot of this early part of pre-season. That's all natural. That's what we would expect. But the same token, I would be lying if I said, and this is personal preference, this is my opinion, I didn't want to see a bit more. I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't want to see a bit more of an identity, of a style of play, of a rhythm. And look, that may come in the weeks ahead. And ultimately, if we get to Celtic and Hibernian and we're still having the same conversations, then maybe that is a bit more problematic 1 week to the season. We've still got 3 or 4 weeks to go, lots of training sessions, lots of stuff that Dean Smith will look to implement. A lot of footballing sessions now will replace the fitness work that they've done, and they'll also try and manage it in terms of load and in terms of who plays what. This game was pretty much a non-event when kind of the the host of substitutions, the churn of substitutions happened around the hour mark, and it just kind of felt a little bit flat and a little bit dead after that. And it felt like everyone on the pitch, everyone maybe in the stands as well, was just willing for it to be over at that point. But I'm sure Norwich City will have got a lot out of this from an exercise. I'm sure Dean Smith, who, as I said, took a slightly different position tonight, will have taken maybe a little bit something else out of it, and also he can then chat to Craig Shakespeare, his assistant Liam Bramley as well, who's on the touchline, who may have another perspective on why things were the way they were. But certainly for the first 20-25 minutes, the rhythm was a little bit off. It didn't quite feel right, and again, that just could be because of the stress the players are under. It's a hot night. No doubt they've had a session. There's lots of mitigation that we can throw in there, and I'm sure that Dean Smith would respond to these as, and they're very premature. I don't want to be labelling them as criticisms. They're more observations. This is what I'm now looking for in the weeks ahead, to see a little bit more of a rhythm, a little bit more of a pattern, something a little bit more cohesive. But then maybe that kind of inconsistent, incoherent, a little bit messy nature to pre-season is just a result of this period and what this period is in preparation for the Championship campaign. So it's a bit of a watch this space comment, I think, in terms of what I felt. But yeah, it was a little bit tough to watch at points from a Norwich City perspective, and I didn't quite see what I would have liked to have seen. And maybe that's me being, I don't know, greedy, to use Smith's predecessor's term, greedy at this stage of pre-season and where Norwich City are at the moment, to want to see more. But by the same token, you have to kind of take it for what it is. So I'm quite conflicted, in truth, about how I feel coming away from this fixture. Let's move on then. Teemu Pukki, to the two goals, really. Teemu Pukki scored the first one. He's not going to get an easier goal in 2022, 2023, that's for sure. Theo Witherington with an underhit back pass. He got there ahead of the veteran former Norwich City goalkeeper Paul Jones, and was left just to tap the ball into the net for the opener. The second one was crafted by Norwich City in a better way. It was a real surging run down the left-hand side from Yanulis. He was picked out wonderfully. Lovely touch to kind of push the ball in front of him, and to continue almost the stride that he was at. He was away from Aaron Jones, who it was on this side. Crossed beautifully for Christos Solis, who thrashed it in the back of the net for 2-0. It was an excellent finish, well-worked goal. A lot more to caveat what I've just been saying of what we would like to see from Norwich City. And it was a well-worked goal, a deserved goal. And from that point, it just felt they could maybe take their foot off the accelerator a little bit and almost sort of glide through the evening to some extent. Kings Lynn, I felt, were full of endeavour, full of courage as well in the opening period. I'm sure Tommy Witherington would have taken a lot from that encounter against a professional outfit. His side more than matched them, and it said probably even bettered them in the opening 20 minutes. And he will be looking at that period, I think, with real excitement. They welcome MK Dons here on Saturday, so a new challenge for them as well. That now ends Norwich City's Norfolk friendlies. We head to Cambridge next week, obviously, after that trip to Marseille on Saturday. So, so those were the goals. A little bit of a concern around Teemu Pukki. He went off with what looked like a dead leg, kind of limped off. He was due to come off on the hour mark, came off a few minutes beforehand, limped down the tunnel. A little bit of a concern. You could feel it in the crowd, in the fan base. You could probably feel it from emanating from Dean Smith's chair as well, because we don't need to speak about the reliance that is put on that man. But he did emerge sort of towards the end of the game. There's no strapping on his leg, no crutches. I did see him actually whilst we were conducting the post-match interviews down there. He did limp across the pitch a little bit, but hopefully that's more of a kind of a muscular contact injury that will wear off after a couple of days. I guess Marseille will really be an indication of that. A few other injury concerns. PLS Malou has a knock on his ankle. That's not expected to be serious. Sam Byron missed the game tonight as a precautionary measure. Angus Gunn had a little bit of a knee issue as well. He was missing. I'm trying to think. I'm definitely missing someone else. No, it's gone. Isaac Hayden was out as well. He's had an operation. Kieran Dow was the one I was thinking of. You all had it. Operation on his hernia. He should be back for the game against Hibernian, final Norwich City pre-season game. Although not ideal really for probably the start of the season, but maybe enough to ensure that he's involved against Cardiff, whereas perhaps he wouldn't have been. So those are the concerns. Hayden, obviously, a major concern. Dean Smith said he's had an operation to flush out, clean out his knee. This issue he's been contending with since joining Norwich City, really. He's had 1 week of training, and ever since it's been injuries, and that knee injury has flared up. He didn't really partake in anything in Germany. Obviously didn't play tonight. He's expected to Dean Smith put a time frame on kind of the start of the season. I would probably be surprised if it's more the end of August that we see Isaac Hayden, but time will tell. Hopefully he can come back quickly, because I think we're all excited. We're all keen to see what he can offer to this Norwich City team, particularly in a role where it feels like Norwich City do need a presence, really, and they do need a lift and a reinforcement. And the CV that he has, I think, is well documented now. It feels like something that Norwich City needs. So that would be a welcome boost if they could get him back sooner. But of course, he's been out since December. There is some concern about the long-termism nature of this and his injury concerns, and I'm sure they will increase and intensify in terms of discourse because of the imminent signing of Gabriel Sara, who Dean Smith all but confirmed, but didn't quite go on record to say yes. But he said he was aware of him and liked him. So that's usually the green light from a head coach's perspective that there's an incoming bounder. That's certainly our understanding of that situation as well. And that's it, really. As I said, leaving here quite conflicted, leaving here really intrigued. I'll make a note as well. Andrew Omabamidele made his first appearance for 8 months. Really good to see him back. Had a really good chat with him after the game. You'll be able to read that on Pink and Plus or in the newspapers. Not tomorrow, but probably the day after for the newspapers. But certainly in the morning on the app. A really good conversation with him about his struggles and the period and how dark it was. It was great to see him out on the pitch, and I got the sense that he really enjoyed it as well. Right before the floodlights go off and I'm left standing here in darkness, I'm going to leave you in the walks. Norwich City have finished their third pre-season friendly. 3 down, 4 to go, basically halfway through. Marseille to come on Saturday. A massive challenge. We're not going to be in France. We will be back for Cambridge, although, of course, we will cover that game accordingly. There we go. The lights are going off. That's my cue to close it off. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoyed the heat. I don't know if there is such a thing. I'm absolutely hating it. My hair colour's all wrong for the heat, so I struggle. I haven't even got sun cream on, which is a bit of a risk, but I was stuck at the back of the stand. So there we go. Anyway, enough rambling. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.